What I have here in front of me is the ingredients that I use for my red beans and rice. Um, I fried up some bacon pieces. I'm going to take those out just because this is for the house, and my husband doesn't eat pork, and if he sees it in there, there goes the neighborhood. I have beef sausages. I have a rotisserie chicken. What I do is I go to the grocery store, I buy a rotisserie chicken. I take the parts off of it that we don't eat or that I don't use in other recipes because I love to use chicken breast and things like fettuccine and stuff. Anyways, so this is a chicken thigh off a rotisserie chicken. I got boiling a bag rice over here boiling. Yeah, I cheat on the rice, not a big deal, just as good. I use bay leaves. Bay leaves gives it wonderful flavor. Crushed garlic, a can of Rotel. I got diced celery, onions, and bell peppers. I don't do a small dice, I do a big dice. I like to see what I'm eating. And chicken broth. Over in the sink, which I just dropped my paper towel, which I use up a bunch of, I have my rinsed and soaked red beans. So, what I do is not conventional, and I will leave seasoning up to you. But once I've got the bacon fried up and rendered down, which is right about now in this case, like I said, I'm going to take this out so that there's not a murder in the country today. And I'm going to proceed. I start off with my sausage and my chicken thigh, and I'll let them do their thing down there. I'm sorry. With the bacon fat for a minute. They'll brown up. You don't want them to burn because they're going to get really, really tender boiling in with those beans. For about, I guess my beans go for about, depends on how many bags. Like that's one bag, so it'll go for maybe about an hour and a half on medium heat, and they're pretty much ready. So at any rate, like I said, I don't measure my seasoning ever. I measure to taste, so it's according to what you want or how you like yours. Some people like more, some people like less. Because when I'm cooking on the truck, I don't know the difference between the two. I have to, um, sorry, I have to stay on the side of less so that you can always add more, and it keeps it safe. But I also will tell you that, and I'll show you later on in the video. I'm going to cut it off in a minute and come back. But I also add a little sugar, about a spoonful of sugar, in with all of my seasonings. And I use the regular seasonings. I use cayenne pepper, salt, regular coarse ground pepper. Um, I use a little accent salt. And then I use Italian seasonings. I use a little basil. I use a little thyme. Excuse me. Um, I use the Italian seasoning blend. Um, those things just add, I guess, extra flavor. I'm constantly building flavor. That's why you don't really need to over season because you're building the flavors one on top of the other one. By the time you finish, adding a little of this and a little of that, you got the perfect red beans and rice. I promise you. So, like I said, I'm going to turn it off. Well, maybe not yet. Hold on. So, anyways, I brown the sausages. Um, then I'll show you. I don't guess I have to show you putting it in the pot, but I will. Because most people will have you believe that everything's got to be done at some point, or, you got to, uh, I'm sorry, soften and brown the onions and garlic and all of that. But it will all render down with the boil of the beans all together, and it's going to be fabulous. So I think my rice is done. I'm gonna turn that off. Easy enough. And then what I do from here, which these are pretty much ready, I'm gonna put these napkins over here, is I add celery, onions, and bell peppers. And in Louisiana, they call that the Holy Trinity. So that's in. That's your flavor for the most part. Just let it get some of that bacon fat. I'm not trying to cook it down. Just trying to mix it up as I add it in. Next, I'll throw in about, for a bag, I'll use about maybe 4 bay leaves. I love bay leaves, to be honest with you. I use them in just about everything. If you've ever had my crab boil, and you see those leaves running around, those are bay leaves. Again, they just give it flavor, but you have to remember to take them out once once your beans have cooked down, especially when you're serving it. When I'm serving it on the truck for hire, because I don't want nobody to come back with a lawsuit. I ain't got no money. So anyway, this is that was a can of Rotel I just added in. Again, you can see it's making its own juices. I don't use water, and I try not to use water in a lot of my dishes. If I can, I'll use chicken broth only for the flavor. And chicken broth has a lot of sodium in it already, so you don't have to use as much salt when you use chicken broth. I guess I just won't be able to hold a napkin in my hand today. Okay, so now everybody's in the pot. Everybody but the beans, of course. I'm gonna pour the chicken broth in here, and I use about, this is 4 cups going in now, and it depends on how much it renders down during cooking, because I'm watching it constantly and constantly coming in stirring. Um, it depends if I add more or not, and I can tell you I will. And generally, it's probably about two more cups should do it. So, anyways, here's your beans going in. And if you know, if you cook beans before, then you know that they suck up moisture. So for sure, you'll need probably about 6 cups of chicken broth. And you can use water. You don't have to use chicken broth if you don't have any on hand. Again, I use it for the flavor more than anything. So now that my beans are in, I'll stir it up. I don't season right away. That's why, and I will show you seasoning, but again, I cannot give you a seasoning measuring table because I absolutely don't use one. I'm not a mad scientist. I'm just a cooking nut. So that's everything. I'll get rid of that. We'll let these cook for a minute. I'll come back. I'll show you what I use my first round of seasoning. If I feel like it needs something else, I add something else. But we'll be back.